going on, Phins fans? It's your boy Dillon, and I'm here to do a video to preview this upcoming game against the Raiders. Look, we're coming off our bye, and things fell really well for us this past week. We would have liked to have seen the Bengals beat the Ravens last night. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So it just kind of is what it is. But as it turns out, it looks like the Bengals are basically out of the playoff race. Not just because they lost, but also because of the fact that they lost Joe Burrow with what seems to be for the season. So because he has a wrist injury, it seems like. And I haven't gotten the full news on it, but it looks like he might have tore some ligaments or something in his wrist. Something serious that he's likely going to have surgery on. And, yeah, so they lost Joe Burrow for the season. And also, Mark Andrews was lost for the season in that game, too, for the Ravens. So that's unfortunate for them. But, when we play them later on, it will make them a little easier to deal with, because they're going to be down a weapon. So, as unfortunate it is, that is the reality, although that is still, a ways down the road. That's not until week 17. So there's still a lot of football to be played till then. So hopefully everybody else, them and us, stay healthy. So that way, that game is a good game at that point. But, just to put that out there. So anyway, it would have been nice if the Bengals would have beat the Ravens last night. But they didn't. So the Bengals are now, I think 5-6, and the Ravens are 8-3. So, yeah, injuries suck, man, but, it is what it is. So, no, the Bengals are 5-5, excuse me, and the Ravens are 8-3. But anyway, yeah, they're done. The Ravens are 8-3. We're going to have to compete with them potentially for a number 1 or a number 2 seed along with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're going to have to see all that plays out. But let's get into this because right now the Dolphins have to take care of business and get the win against their upcoming opponent. And let's go ahead and first, which is obviously the Las Vegas Raiders. They are playing in Hard Rock Stadium. And let's go ahead and take a look at a couple things, including the injury report. Now, for some reason, this injury report, I'll give it another quick refresh. But, yeah, for some reason, even though right now it's almost 4 p.m. Pacific time, because obviously I live in California, so it's almost 4 p.m. my time, which means it's almost 7 p.m. Eastern. You would think by now that there'd be that this would have been updated and there'd be game status designations. But I did, even though this isn't updated fully, I can still talk about it. And I do have a pretty good idea of who is going to be playing and who isn't. Although, I'll just go ahead and say this right now. It looks like everybody for the Dolphins and the Raiders who are on the injury report should be playing, except for these guys up here for the Dolphins. Robert Hunt, Robert Jones, no real surprises there. Chase Claypool, I actually did get, because I have been, looking elsewhere and watching other shows and stuff like that. So I do have some information. Looks like Chase Claypool actually got a scope done on his knee. So that's a relatively minor procedure. But it looks like he will ultimately end up missing at least probably 2 or 3 weeks, which is fine because our upcoming opponents aren't that difficult. So, if we have to miss anybody, now's the time to do it. I know some people are a little concerned because our wide receiver room's getting a little banged up, but we're also getting some guys back. And, that's just the NFL. But the only guys I expect not to play are Chase Claypool, Robert Hunt, Robert Jones. For the offensive line, it looks like we're going to have Teron Armstead, then Lester Cotton, Connor Williams, Liam Eichenberg, and Austin Jackson, which again, and for this Raiders team, I'm not super worried about them as far as their pass rush, as long as they just take care of course, Max Crosby. But I'll get into that in a minute. Let's run through the rest of this just so we can, know what's up. But anyway, Devon Achane, we do expect him to be back. Like I said, I expect everybody else to play. Braxton Berrios, Alec Ingold, Durham Smythe, Teron Armstead, Tyreek Hill has a foot thing. I'm not worried about it. I know some people, like I watched Omar Kelly and Alan Poupar. I watched their all Dolphins show, and that's where I got some of the injury information, like Chase Claypool and stuff like that. So thanks to them. I don't know, bro. Like, Omar seems to be a little, I think it was Omar that seemed to be a little bit more concerned, or maybe maybe it was both. They're concerned about, look, bro, everybody gets banged up. It's fucking football. Like, until I see it visibly on the field, like, I'm a little bit more worried about Waddle, because he's been visibly, shaken up and banged up and limited and missed some games and stuff like that, right? Although he's not even on the injury report, as you can see. And Waddle did say he's feeling pretty good when they talked to him. Ahmed with ribs, Holland back, Phillips back toe. But everybody should be good to go and playing in this game, except for, again, these three guys up there. Look, at this point in the season, everybody's going to be banged up. But I think, relatively speaking, for sure, the Dolphins are one of the healthier, teams in the league, especially at this point. And I do think that the bye came at a perfect time. So I'm not really concerned with that. I think we're going in good position. But like I said, so just, and I mean, you can see the limiteds and the fulls and everything. I know there's no designations for Friday here or game status, but from what I heard, there's nobody less than questionable for the Raiders. So, but you do have Adam Butler, Max Crosby, Devon Diablo, Nate Hobbs, Jacob Johnson, Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Marcus Peters, Amik Robinson, Roderick Teamer, Greg Van Roten, Chris Bolton. So, but as you can see, and to my point, there's a ton of guys, including a lot of their starting lineup guys, and same for the Dolphins, who are battling stuff. And it just is what it is, because that's football, and we're in week 11. So, but both teams seem like they're going to basically have everybody available who they need to have available. All right, so let's quickly now, I do actually want to pull up, because I've been watching Dan Mitchell's videos. I watch a lot of the AFC East. I watch the AFC East Roundtable videos. I love their shows. And then I watch some of Dan's stuff. I'll watch some of Richie's stuff. I don't really watch TD. Look, I've said it before. I think he's a good dude. He seems like a nice enough guy. He's a bit over the top for me and a bit too griftery for me, if I'm being honest, completely honest. But I think he's a nice enough dude. I don't really watch his stuff, though, and I don't really watch Master of Work stuff. I just watch them on... I get enough of those two guys on the round table. Let's just say that. But I have nothing personally against them or anything like that. I think they're nice enough people or whatever. I don't always agree with, but... I mean, I don't always agree with Dan or Richie's takes either. But I just say this. I enjoy actually watching their content. I don't necessarily enjoy watching the other twos, except for when they're on the round table. Anyway, I don't need to get too much into that. My point was, though, is that I watched some of Dan's stuff, and he uses this website, Team Rankings. So, and I like it. I've liked it. So I wanted to throw that in here. I'm not going to, spend too much time, because I'm just going to get into, my thoughts on the game here in a minute. But this is good information to have and stuff like that. So let's just take a quick look at it. Offensively, this is the Raiders, and we'll look at the Dolphins in a second. But offensively, points per game, 17.2. They're 27th. 31st in the league with yards per game, 24th in points per play, 29th in yards per play, 29th in third down conversion. They are 4th in fourth down conversion, so good for them there, right? That's like one good thing that their offense apparently does, is they can convert on fourth down. But obviously, as you can see, their offense isn't very good. 19% on red zone scoring, and 19th in red zone scoring, and 26th in touchdowns per game. Defensively, they are a little bit better, though, but still, middle of the pack, and there's still definitely going to be plenty of opportunities for this high-powered Dolphins offense being about as healthy as they possibly can, especially getting Achane back, I think, is going to be huge and important. But yeah, there's going to be opportunities. They're 13th overall in Opponents' points per game, 18th in yards per game. Opponents' yards per game, 11th in opponents' points per play. 16th in yards per play. 26th in third down. 16th in fourth down. 25th in red zone, and 11th in opponents' touchdowns. So, like I said, a lot of opportunity there for the Dolphins. Obviously, when we get to the Dolphins here in a second, we know that they're going to be tops in the league for all offensive statistical categories. So, and I'm not going to actually go through it, but I'll show you. Here's the rushing statistics for them, the passing statistics, both offensively and defensively, just so you can see it for yourself. Kicking, turnovers, penalties, and then other statistics is time of possession. So, there you go. There you have it. Now we'll take a quick look at the Miami Dolphins. So offensively, we're number 1 in points per game, number 1 in yards, number 1 in points per play, number 1 in yards per play, 16th in third down conversion. They definitely need to get better at their third and fourth down conversion percentages. They definitely... Okay, so offensively, because look, the offense, particularly against good opponents on the road, they've definitely struggled, and that is an area of the offense that they need to fix for sure. Although that's not really going to be something that comes into play until we play the Baltimore Ravens, right? Because we do have some road games still over the course of the season, the final 8 games, but 5 of them are at home. So that eliminates that factor for 5 of the games, and the only good team that we play on the road is the Ravens. Now, we do play the Jets on the road, and they have a good defense, but that offense is absolutely atrocious, and I think we should be able to outscore them. Although I think that when we play them in MetLife, they will keep the game closer, just arbitrary and kind of off the dome right now, and it's a little early, but I'd say, it'll probably be like a 24-13 game or something, or 24-12 game. I mean, they just can't score any touchdowns to save their lives. So, even 12 points is maybe being a little bit generous, but it might be like a 24 or 21, to 12 game when we play them in MetLife. But then when they come down to Miami, I think we'll probably end up blowing the doors off of them, and end up winning like 35-15 or something like that, 35-14 or something like that. And that's provided they can score some touchdowns. And it might not, we might even shut them out when they come down to Miami. But anyway, I digress. So, but some areas for this Dolphins offense to work on is that, and they also do need to get back to getting better on first and second down, and they can work on that over the next 5 weeks in particular, while they have, teams that are not as good, and then they can practice a little bit on the Jets defense and so on and so forth, whatever. Anyway, now, and then red zone scoring, 75%, number 1 in the league. That is just so phenomenal. And then touchdowns a game, number 1 in the league. So overall, though, aside from a couple areas, our offense is still just number 1 in basically every statistical category, like across the board. So rushing, we're number 1 in yards per game, number 2 in rush yards a game, and rushing touchdowns a game, right? And we can actually jump back up into first place in some of those categories depending on what we do this week, because obviously we're a game behind a lot of teams because we are just coming off our bye. Anyway, defensively, now we're getting mostly to middle of the pack defensively. But I do think in the second half of the season, you will see all of these statistical categories really start to shoot through the roof. And I think that we should be in the top half of the league in every category. I would say every single category, even these categories like opponents' touchdowns a game and stuff like that. Like, I think these will drastically improve, especially over the next few weeks when we're playing Aiden O'Connell Raiders and Zach Wilson Jets twice. And Sam Howell's done pretty good, but the Sam Howell Commanders and the Will Levis Titans, right? I think opponents' touchdowns a game will drop, and that, opponents' red zone scoring will drop and those will go up, right? I think overall we'll be in the top half of the league in every category, but I think there will be a number of categories that were in the top 10 and even in the top 5, right? So, 26th right now in opponents' points per game, 12th in yards, 26th in points per play, 12th in yards per play, 12th in third down, 8th and fourth down conversion percentages, 28th in red zone scoring, and 28th in touchdowns. And just real quick, like I said, we see that rushing defense, solid in middle of the pack for the most part there. Passing offense, obviously mostly tops of the league, right? Do need to, again, get a little bit better. Also work on, Tua does need to protect the ball a little bit better. I mean, he's still doing fabulous. He's got more than a 2-to-1 ratio, so, fine there, but definitely need to clean that up a little bit as well, too. But yeah, and then defensively, like I said, this has been the weakest area for sure of the defense is our passing defense. But with Howard healthy, with Ramsey back in the lineup, Holland healthy, I think these also will start to skyrocket, and so on and so forth. Anyway, but here, kicking statistics, turnover statistics, and penalties, and then time of possession statistics. So there you have it. Bada bing, bada boom. That's going to be that. And now I'm just going to kind of talk about the game itself and how I think it's going to go and so on and so forth. So look, I mean, I get it. They fired their head coach and their GM, the Raiders, and they're spunky right now. And they do have a few players on the team, Max Crosby, and Spillane on Robert Spillane, right, on the defense. But that's really it on the defense. On the offense, it's basically just Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. And they're great players, but that's really it. And the Dolphins really, matchup-wise, pretty much across the board, matchup great. I don't have any worry from this Raiders team. I know that they're playing spunky. They played the Jets and the Giants. Those were the 2 wins that they got, these past couple weeks. So, I mean, not exactly great opponents. And they did get to play both of those teams in Vegas. They were home games. Now they have to go on the road to Miami. It's probably going to be, even this late in the year. I mean, climate change obviously has a lot to do with that. But, even this late in the year, it's probably still going to be pretty hot. They're going to be wearing all black from what I heard. There's just a massive talent discrepancy between these two clubs. Like, honestly, I expect this game to be a blowout. A complete fucking blowout. What did I say? What did I say it was going to be? I think I said something like, I was going all in on this when I was thinking about it yesterday. I was thinking my score prediction was something pretty crazy like 56 to fucking 14 or some shit like that. So we'll go with that, 56 to 14. I think they are going to absolutely blow the doors off of the Raiders. Because look, again, Dolphins are at home. They got to come here. We have an amazing home field advantage. We're 15-2 at home in the Mike McDaniel era. This team is just supremely talented and certainly compared to the Raiders. Offensively, all they got to do is basically take care of Max Crosby and eliminate him as much as you can. I mean, he's going to probably make some plays here and there. But, Tua gets the ball out super quick, all the motions and stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera. The line playing pretty well, even with the injuries. I'm not worried about him. And then you just got to be aware of Spillane. But other than that, I'm not super worried about them. I think they can, run the ball though. That's the one thing for the offense. Start by running the ball. Their rush defense is not very good. And if you can do that, they're also not particularly good at protecting the middle of the field. So you start by running the ball. You get Achane back. You're going to have Mostert. You're going to have Achane. You're going to have Wilson. Use that three-headed monster. Rotate them in. Blah, blah, blah. Mike McDaniel is great at that. I have no worries there with our coaching staff, so I'm sure he'll figure it out. I'm sure they're going to have a good game plan. But run the ball. That's the one key for the offense is run the ball early and often, set that tone, and it'll open up the middle of the field. And then I think that they can just run away with it and just start putting up points and putting up points and putting up points. But they do also, I think, need to score on their first drive. Take an early lead and just run away with it. Defensively, their offensive line is banged up and not particularly good anyway. You know, it's, like I said, Aiden O'Connell back there. They got Devontae Adams. Take him out of the game, and this Dolphins defense against the run has been damn good, except for that Chargers game. So I'm not super worried about Josh Jacobs. I think he's only averaging like 3-point-something yards a rush this year. So I'm not super worried about their offense either. And I think that this defense is really going to, since they have been coming on, they're fully healthy. And I think that they're going to, like I said, end up being one of the elite units towards the end of the season. Again, provided everybody stays healthy. But assuming everybody stays healthy, I think they'll be one of the elite top-end units by the end of the season. And I think over the next 5 games, they'll get there in part because of the next 5 games, because they're just going to be able to feast with the offenses that we have to go up against. So I'm really excited about it. I'm pumped for it. I'm looking forward to it. And I think this game is going to be amazing. Now, look, any given Sunday, it could go any way. I mean, they are a tough, they can be a tough physical team. They got that, interim head coach bump. There's all sorts of things, right? But I just have full confidence in this coaching staff and this team and the personnel and all this stuff. And I think, and with the defense coming on, I think the offense is going to get right. I think they're going to fix a lot of the mistakes. For the most part, this team is getting healthier and healthier. I like where we're at. I love where we're at, and I'm super pumped. So, like I said, fuck it. We're going all the way in this one. A full-on massive blowout, 56-14, and some of that might even come in just garbage time. Their 14 points, because I do think that this ends up being a game where we could pull starters in the fourth quarter. It could be so out of reach. It could end up being like, excuse me, 42 to fucking, nothing, or 42-7. Excuse me, late in the third quarter. Hang on a second. Okay, late in the third quarter, and we could end up starting to pull starters, and then maybe, they get a late touchdown or whatever on some of our backups, or blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, and let's just hope to, obviously, health. Everybody stays healthy, because, we don't want to see, like I said, last night we just saw a couple season-ending injuries for Mark Andrews and Joe Burrow, some key players. So let's keep guys healthy, but and if I'm being honest, though, if I'm being completely honest, over these next 5 games, I hope we do end up in situations regularly over the next 5 games, the weaker opponents, where we do get to pull starters, because I would like to hopefully maybe get them some extra rest, get to the point where we're having comfortable wins, but also to the point where we can get guys some extra rest. So anyway, that is going to do it for me. I'm going to get up out of here. That's my preview and my look at the Las Vegas Raiders game. Just one more thing. Look, the Dolphins, they have to just take care of business. I know there's a lot of conversation about this, stretch of the season and everything, but and I know some people are worried about the Jets. Some people talk about, the Sam Howell Commanders and how, they're not blah, blah, blah. And some people talk about the Raiders and like they're scrappy and blah, blah. I get it. And it's all context, and I'm never going to dismiss any of that. I mean, if you guys know me, over the past several years, and particularly over the Brian Flores era and stuff like that, the Flores years, I was what people considered the more pessimistic fan. I just think I, was being realistic with people and telling people the truth, because I'm not the kind of person that's ever going to lie to the people that I speak to. And the fans that watch my videos, I'm going to be honest with you. So, but I'm being the same here. And I actually do think that, the Dolphins can and will take care of business. I think we will be 11-3 going into that Dallas game. I think we're going to be at the top of I think we're going to wrap up the division by Christmas, because look, the Bills, I do think will beat the Jets this week. But then I think they're going to lose. I mean, they could lose to the Jets. They already lost to the Jets. It's possible they lose to the Jets. But I do think the Bills will. I mean, I did say that last week, and they lost to the Broncos. But I digress. I think the Bills will ultimately end up somehow finding a way to get the win against the Jets. basically eliminate the Jets from playoff contention and talks at this point. I mean, I actually hope that's what happens. Let's get the Jets done and over with. But then I think the Bills are going to lose to the Chiefs and the Eagles. I think they actually have the Eagles next. Then they have a bye. Then they have the Chiefs. But I think they're going to lose those 2 games. So I'm not super worried about them. And I think that if the Dolphins do handle their business, which I think that they will, we will lock up the division by Christmas. And then those last handful of games, 3-4 games, are going to just be for playoff seeding. And like I said, I do think that there is still a good chance for this team to take the number 1 seed. But that is going to rely heavily on the Kansas City Chiefs losing a couple games and also the Dolphins basically winning out. So, because we would also have to, beat Buffalo, go 14-3, so we could hope to have a better overall record than the Chiefs at the end of the season, and also, eliminate the Ravens as a possible opponent for us chasing that top seed. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys. I'm gonna get up out of here. It's good things, bright future for this team, and let's keep it fucking rolling, man. I am also planning to do a live stream for this Raiders game, and I'm gonna try and do live streams for all the rest of the games going down the stretch as long as I'm able to, of course, as well, because my life stuff still has its issues, but I'm planning to do a live stream. Not that there's going to be anybody there for it, but I'm going to do a live stream anyway, I think so, because I am, honestly, look, I mean, just one final quick thing. My life has been in shambles for a long time, and part of that is I'm trying to, find a place that I can fit in the world, just in general, but also for work. And, I would love to make this what I do full time, but obviously that's probably not going to be, I'm not betting on that. But, I am doing it because 1, I enjoy it. 2, I would like to maybe be able to get it to grow again. So while I'm still trying to figure out my work situation and my overall life situation, hopefully I can also grow this in the meantime and eventually, turn it into, I would, to make my channel profitable, I need at least 1,000 subscribers, 1,000 plus, and then people need to watch my stuff. So I'm not super confident that it's going to happen anytime soon, but I'm working on it because I would like to make that happen at some point. So anyway, again, let me get the fuck up out of here. Enough tangents, enough rants, enough side stories and all that stuff. Like I said, good things coming for this Dolphins. Let's get excited and pumped for this game, and I think we're going to spank the Raiders, baby. And let's keep this train rolling all the way to and through. Oh, one more thing, I guess. Hard Knocks. I don't think it's going to be a distraction. This day and age, these players are used to cameras and stuff like that, and I think it actually will be fun to get an inside look. I think it'll add another fun layer to this Dolphins season. And look, bro, if we end up making it to the Super Bowl, they'll be with us the entire way. So in that context, I think it would be super fun and exciting to have Hard Knocks along the way. So we can get a little bit of that inside look to this team as they make that run and make that special, turn this season into something special. So with that, I'm finally going to get out of here. Fins up, baby. Let's keep this train rolling.
7 seconds left. Tannehill will throw it. And this will end it after the shuttle. Miami runs around. Circling. On the go. Gronkowski. Did not mean it. Touchdown. Miraculous in Miami. Stills to Parker to Drake. And they held off the unimaginable what has taken place here in South Florida. The Dolphins have done it. They keep their season alive. 69 yards. Wow. Pure joy. Miami wins it.